This is dedicated to the indie workers. For those of us who went to our real jobs on Monday in pain because we did something stupid for 20 people on a Saturday night. Keep grinding. We are strong. We are numerous. We are sore. My name is Chris Price, and for a lot of years I was a professional wrestler. Such illustrious careers as 3C, as Cirrus, as JoJo Justice, Pedro Salazar, Funk Soul Brother. But I spent the most time as Private Chris area, as in private area, but not just my private area. I was Major Stephen Payne's private area.
By all means, let people understand.
So my gimmick was one big dick joke. So what the hell's going on here? How did we come to this moment? Getting back in a wrestling ring for the first time since the early 2000s. Age 45 now. A lot of mileage on these tires. But the question remains, can a 45-year-old man get back in a wrestling ring after almost a 20-year absence and make it look respectable? But to truly appreciate this moment and what it means and what it all entails and what has got me to this point, we need to take it all the way back to the beginning. And it started in a backyard in the late 90s in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Take a dip to my style and spit this hot verse. And this is where I'm coming from and didn't even curse. I was in the studio, it took me to rehearse. Out of town and all around, yo, Milwaukee comes first. Words burst out the page, devoid of the rage in the stage. Locked in white water's cage, cause this is where I'm from, and this is where I'll go, and this is where I'll die, and this is where I'll grow. Bald head braid, short hair or afro, from the top of all that down to my big toe. Running through my veins, I can feel it start to flow like a shiver up your spine when the cold winds blow. Speak it to the heavens or keep it on the low. Tell your mother, tell your father, tell your sister, tell your bro. Milwaukee got my back, I never kick it so low. Alone I shine and you can watch your soul glow. There's one thing I learned and there's one thing I know. The world ain't ready for me yet, but at home I'm a pro.
Character development, cinematography, how they put all that shit together. Editing. I've actually found myself paying attention to how people edit shit now. As far as
So at the time, I think that was the best time to be a professional wrestling fan. The Monday Night Wars, WCW, WWE. It was Monday Nitro versus Monday Night Raw. And we were college age. I believe I was 19 or 20 at the time. And we loved wrestling. We were athletic. We were young. We did stupid shit all the time. And it just turned out to be like, you know what? We can do that. I mean, a lot of things in my life have been started because I've just simply had the thought of, I can do that. Because around that time, the backyard wrestling craze was kind of lifting off, and you'd see like these infomercials for these, videos. You buy a best of backyard wrestling video for, whatever it was, 1995 or whatever. And we seen like a commercial with these clips on it, and we were just like, well, shit, we can do that, right? Hey, there's a backyard like right over there. Let's go to it and hit each other with shit.
Maple placing the table on top. Oh!
All right, so
Jack and Coke is doing me right.
all right.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephen Roan, aka Stevie Razor Roan, aka the Nightmare Flair Stevens, aka Major Stephen Payne. was the result of just how insanely hot pro wrestling was in the late 90s. We were, me, you, Matt, we were WCW guys when, Razor Ramon showed up, when Scott Hall showed up on Nitro. We got into it when the NWO formed. We got into it. We were watching Nitro every week and blah, blah, blah. And since we were young men at the time, since we were healthy at the time, since we were energetic, we didn't have a lot of responsibilities or reasons to do or not do things. It just translated to, we can kind of do that. Oh, you got a camcorder. All right, let's do it. We don't have a ring, but we got a backyard, so we started backyard wrestling.
Oh, a tornado DDT off the little table there.
I just want to see if the level's okay in that microphone.
Oh, no problem.
Hope it doesn't smell like smoke, because I was
No.
interviewing Randy. He was just sitting there just burning computers with that fucking thing on.
I'm Jim Rosinski. I used to wrestle under a couple of names, just gimmick names. I had Lord Humongous. I had Subhuman. When I was with the Brawl, I did Stealth. Because that was when everyone wanted to do it. It wasn't just, it wasn't like, hey, that's not a good idea. Everyone was doing it. I mean, we were all doing it when we were kids. I remember the neighborhood kids down the street from me were getting in trouble in the 80s because they were doing backyard wrestling. It was just goofy stuff that, we thought we were invincible. So we went ahead and did it.
Oh! And Matt being thrown into the tables.
I like the wireless mics, because like the first couple I did have like a 6-foot like lapel mic.
Oh.
So it's like the shot's gotta be like
all up in your face.
And I was like, I don't.
Okay. Well, Matt Morrison's my name. Went by Matt Fu, I think, originally. I did a little Purple People Eater. Various other minor characters. It just looked like something fun to do with our time. That's, hang out with friends, do stupid stuff.
I blame boredom personally.
Yeah, you don't want to just sit around doing nothing. Kept us out of trouble. At least with the cops. The neighbors were different.
Oh! And that is a patented Roan kick.
Yeah, we just started, just imitating, people that that were entertaining us at the time. Can you do a tombstone in the backyard? Can you go through a couple tables in the backyard? Can you take a bump? Whatever. We were just so heavy into, the hottest time in modern pro wrestling happened when we were 19, 20, 21 years old and could bend without breaking.
I mean, we had an idea of what we were doing as opposed to like actual theory and working of a match. No, we were probably stiff as hell, just because. It was kind of like, okay, let's try this move. Hey, I saw this move. Let's try this move. So it was kind of like going back and forth, seeing what everyone wanted to do. You know, there are some moves that people could do, some moves that people couldn't do. I mean, we're smart enough not to do that. So, I mean,
Yeah, smart and us in the backyard. I don't think those two words go together.
true. But I mean, I wasn't trying to do a Hurricane Rana to anyone, so you know that was good. I wasn't trying to be a high flyer, even though I was the biggest one there. So I think we had some sort of like control factor of, okay, we'll do stuff, but we're not going to be overly stupid with it, I guess.
No, no. Oh, God. So, but yeah, it was fun. It was rough. We took our bruises, broken noses. Yeah, but yeah, good time. You know, going through a table is not as hard as it seems.
Oh, puts him right through the table. Right through the table, and I think that's it for Matt.
And the key with the tables is that you don't go through the tables unedited. You don't take the metal ring off either, because then the table's too flimsy and it doesn't break your momentum. And it's like you still hit the ground pretty hard. So the key to a good table spot is the metal ring on the bottom of the table. You take a hacksaw and you hack it, you cut it not quite halfway, about a quarter of the way. So that way you still have some give to the table. It's still going to break, but you're also telling the table where to break, which is also super important.
We fucking set up lights. We set up lights in the backyard because Nitro ended after sundown. We set up lights in the backyard, beat shit out of each other, man. Like, fuck, yeah, no. I got a lot of great memories from that.
Well, every match was a ladder match, even though there was just a ladder in the backyard. There was nothing suspended like a title or something like that. So every match was technically a ladder match because there was a ladder present. So, you know, you'd have to do spots to work the ladder in there, you know.
Taking him to the ladder. Oh, face first into the ladder. Again. See, moving the sheet metal out of his way. A drop kick. And the ladder goes down, and so does Matt.
Having, you know, my character, my heel character of 3C, which was just basically irritated me, I guess. Not a real character per se.
He doesn't like Steve for some reason.
Matt's babyface, Matt Fu.
Okay. Well, the name Matt Fu kind of came from the Shaq Fu personality from Shaquille O'Neal back in the day. And I just aped it. The Toys R Us shirt, that came from my 1 week of working at Toys R Us, and I thought it was funny. That, and I'm a Toys R Us kid.
Matt, who was more of the reserved person who didn't really speak much back in those days, you know, it's like we put on something for him and all of us to perform and to act stupid, and then this dude's like up on the roof posing for his intro, you know, coming off the garage, and I'm pretty sure I wasn't ready for that the first time and probably had to get off of camera because I was laughing too hard.
Did he? Oh, with the R. Kelly. Oh, no. With the R. Kelly. Matt came out to R. Kelly's city. Matt came, his industry was R. Kelly, Gotham City. Woo! Yeah, great stuff.
3C, baby.
Not foul!
C! The 3C! There's nothing on me! What about me? What about me, man?
What about you?
I got ran over in the damn parking lot by Matt's car last time.
Anyway.
Oh! That was at the beginning! Now I want his ass in the ring. Best 2 out of 3 grudge match. In the backyard. 2 matches.
I want Matt. I want him now. Let's bring it on.
Third child, coming to get you, sir.
But the baseball slide. Oh!
And then obviously the crown jewel, the coup de grace of the backyard was Matt jumping off the house and splashing me through 2 tables.
Well, the first thing that gave us the idea was I got a couple tables from work, and we were like, let's use these. And I don't exactly remember how we came up with the idea of stacking 2 on top or 1 on top of each other, but I'm sure Chris wanted to do it.
Oh! And oh! And blows being applied here. Matt! It's gonna go all the way to the top! Up to the Gotham! Yes! Go to Gotham, Matt! Oh! Oh my goodness! He went to Gotham and back, baby! And he's going for the pin! 1, 2, 3! Yeah! We're going to Gotham! Woo!
And I've shown that clip to people over the years, and everyone has the impending sense of doom when they see it, like, oh, this is a bad idea.
When I was getting ready to jump off that roof, I was like, should I do this? Then I was like, I'm just gonna fall. I didn't. If you look at the tape, I didn't really jump off the roof. I fell off the roof. And but getting the balls up to do it, I was young, and that makes things easy.
And that spot went off without a hitch. So the brawl was like a cable access wrestling thing run by Scott Wisniewski, who was friends with my older brother, Warren. And actually, when they did this on public access, they didn't have a ring at first. They were doing like stuff in the studio, which was before we ever got there. I'd seen clips of that. I'd never seen it in person, but we had talked about, or I had shown Warren the video or whatever. And then he was like, you know, my friend Scott runs a wrestling promotion. No, I didn't know that. So we were kind of introduced to Scott and brought in for this wrestling thing, which we called, later they call it the Rebels of Wrestling, but at the time that we were there, it was just the Brawl.
I kind of want some of those pipes in the background. It just looks good.
Nice. Yeah, and I know there's a little bit of an echo in this room, but
It should be all right. It should be good.
all right. My name is Scott Wisniewski. I wrestled under the names Patriotic Scott Williams and Hotshot Scott Williams. So it was interesting. I was actually hosting a cable access sports talk show for Time Warner in Greenfield. And there were some kids that were running a show called Wrestling for Donuts. And it was pretty terrible. So the guy who was producing it, his name was Mark Zawolinski, said, hey, you like wrestling, why don't you come help these guys and try to put some things together for them? So I did, and I found some other guys that were doing other cable access shows, Brian, Chaos, Steve Santana, The Punk, and I brought them along and said, hey, let's try this wrestling thing. And we basically ran all the Donuts guys out because Brian and Steve and Dean were a little bit too stiff for them. So we're like, well, now what are we gonna do? And we kind of became the showrunners and started doing some stuff in the studio. We did that for about a year and a half, but it wasn't my intention. Like, I never thought about running shows. I never even thought about being a wrestler other than the fact that I was a fan, right? And somehow I ended up getting hooked up with this Wrestling for Donuts, and the rest was history. Before we purchased the ring from Al Patterson, we found a boxing ring, and that was a very unforgiving ring.
Not suited for what we were doing.
No, there was no spring, there was no give, there was nothing.
So if you see the footage here, it's got 4 ropes, not 3. Ropes are not meant to be jumped on, springboarded on, hit the ropes. They were just kind of there because boxing doesn't do all that. The ropes are there so you don't fall out of the ring. But that ring was, if you watching this at home, no matter where you're watching this, if you're watching this, look down and take a bump on the floor. The floor has more give than that boxing ring had. I could take a bump on the living room floor and it would have felt better than taking a bump in the boxing ring because it wasn't designed for that.
I didn't mind that shit. I mean, it's like we didn't know what was good and what was bad. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have no concept of, oh, this is a good ring, this is a bad ring. If you take that ring and then the next ring and the next ring after that, 3 totally different rings. So it didn't mean shit to me, you know what I'm saying? It felt better than bumping on fucking dirt in the backyard. So, whatever.
So yeah, it was a little bit rough, and to see guys actually bumping and doing everything in that ring, I'm surprised more people didn't get hurt, honestly.
We just didn't know better at the time.
Right.
That there was a better option. We just figured that all bumps weren't that bad.
Right. And we were able to figure it out as we went.
I actually think it worked out. It was kind of serendipitous, man. It kind of worked out good for us, I think. That was our next step after just being in the backyard.
Oh, I was excited. They had a ring.
A boxing ring.
Yeah, it was a boxing ring. It was a step up from where we were, so it wasn't landing on the grass. You're actually landing on a ring. They had a place where it was there, so it was a step up. And we had no idea what was going on with like any of that stuff. So, anyone that was like, "Hey, I'm in the wrestling business," we're like, "Okay, let's go."
Oh man, it felt like we hit the big time to me. Actually having a ring to wrestle in, actually having other people to wrestle, actually planning a match. It was so different. It felt so cool. Except for that ring. God damn, that ring hurt.
It wasn't much training at all.
Dude, truthfully, I don't remember the training very much. I don't know if maybe I just hit my head too often on the bumps.
But the training we received there, it wasn't really pro wrestling training, looking back on it, right? It wasn't. But there was love there.
I mean, when I think about it, when I really remember it, I think the first time that we got in that ring and bumped around, we wrestled a match that day, which is a stark contrast to, how things usually go. I mean, they were just happy to get people in the door that wanted to do it. And if you looked believable enough, like a lot of people got in the ring before they were ready to get in the ring. But again, there was no professionals at the brawl. We all kind of were this band of misfits going together to try to do something. But some of the best, stories in wrestling are a band of guys working together to make something, to build something. So all of the, you know, the indie feds, the bigger ones that are on TV, the smaller ones, the guys that wrestle in front of 10 people, they all kind of have that spirit, you know, that spirit of let's get together and let's build this thing, let's work, let's do this, let's do everything and be something someday.
Scott cared, the Punk cared, and and enough people cared. None of us knew what we were doing, but we cared about it. We took it seriously, and we wanted to do a good job. So the training was just whatever Scott and Brian and them could glean from, you know, watching TV, paying attention to some of the dirt sheets and stuff like that, and just trying to, you know, trying to siphon out little bits of information here and there, and do whatever we can.
And a former local promoter named Al Patterson reached out to us and said, you guys really need to do this better. Let me come over and talk to you and train you. So he started training us. He ended up selling us a wrestling ring. And we started doing shows live in front of crowds with a real ring in real buildings. And that's kind of how we started.
That was amazing because the amount of energy that was in a show, even with the limited crowds, like being able to interact with people, like steps up the energy in the room, in the ring. That is incredible.
The thing about the brawl was it was literally like one step up from Backyard, where the main difference was we had a minor understanding of babyface versus heel. We had a minor understanding of kayfabe, and we had a ring.
I enjoyed being in front of people working shows back then because it was still new back then. You know, it was okay. We got this ring. We're gonna go to numerous places around the city of Milwaukee. Just these places around that were just like these little banquet halls, you know. And I remember working shows where it's like, well, the ring didn't have two settings, you know, and that ring actually sat pretty high up. And I remember working a show where it's like, okay, we can't go off the top rope in that corner because the ceiling is too close over there. So all the rope spots need to be over here instead of over there. Otherwise you're going to hit your head, you know, or, you know, whatever else happens.
Down he goes. Oh, a kick right to the face. Big super kick by Cirrus.
It's a lot of work. Like when you're running shows, it was almost like a second full-time job because we were running every month, right? And we were doing TV tapings and we were on cable access, you know, Milwaukee, Muskego, Greenfield. So we were taping shows and we were trying to get 4 hours worth of TV out of every show. So in addition to trying to get people to come out, buy tickets so we could pay everybody, it were long nights. Like we'd start a show at 7 and we wouldn't get out of there till 11 o'clock, 11:15. So it was hard, and that was before the internet, and that was before Facebook. So we literally had to hang flyers, hand flyers out at WWF shows, whatever we could to get people to like come out and actually start to build a following. The other thing was the building. So we started in a really small building after we left Kazi, and we were at Russ and Darlene's, which held about 50 people. And from there, we graduated to a bigger building in Cudahy, Texas Victory Hall. And then we came back to the south side and we were working at Johnny's Yellow Rose, which used to be Federation Hall, which had a huge local wrestling history from like the 80s and early 90s. But, you know, moving buildings around made it tough because, again, there was no internet. So we relied on cable access TV and really just walking the beat and handing out flyers and printing our own tickets and printing. It was really a lot more work than I think maybe even than now, because a lot of times with the internet and technology, it's a little easier to promote than it was when we were doing it.
So you had to have that true P.T. Barnum mentality at the time.
Absolutely. And then anybody who wanted to help, hey, I can help with this. I can make flyers. I can be your DJ for the night. I can help set up the ring. We just took all the help we could get because we really didn't have a whole lot of resources.
Here is Nightmare.
Like Nightmare Flair Stevens, which was interesting because it didn't really have anything to do with how I worked, how I wrestled. but I thought the Nightmare Flair Stevens was just a cool combination of words that made a good indie fed wrestling name. So in the brawl, I was the Nightmare Flair Stevens.
Can you tell us about that character at all?
I cannot, because I had no character. I was just me in like a Nike cutoff and jean shorts and a Nike leather jacket going out and trying to be a wrestler. No, I mean it was kind of like it was babyface for the most part. Kind of martial arts driven, a lot of kicks, a lot of super kicks, a lot of spin kicks, stuff like that.
From the stratosphere, weighing at 226 pounds, here is Cyrus.
Well, that was the only time I consistently worked babyface, so that was different. But I had the hair, coming out, being energetic, being athletic. I was just doing stuff back then. It's like I look back at that and I'm just like, man, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was having fun doing it.
Drawn at number 1 is Matt Fu.
So the character of Matt Fu lived on in the brawl.
I was more of a taker, I guess. Yeah.
You were just there with a big bump and make everybody else look.
Yeah, I was trying to put people over, I guess is kind of what I tried to do.
From Detroit, Michigan, weighing at 275 pounds, ladies and gentlemen, here is Stealth.
So can you tell me about your character for the brawl, Stealth?
Oh, that was. Didn't we get the name off of Syphil and Ollie?
Yes, we did.
Okay. That was another 80s trivia question that people can look up. Yeah, that was kind of a joke. Yeah, it was just some big guy. That was basically it.
Some tough guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and you at what 6'4" and what 250 at the time?
Yeah.
Were Stealth, right?
Yeah.
You're sneaking up on everybody, right?
Yeah, big guy sneaking up on everyone. That was entertaining. But no, I was kind of like your brother's henchman.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I had the khakis on too. So yeah, that was interesting. That was all right.
Okay, so Warren Price, and I played the character of Jeff Novak, who ended up being, when he was first introduced, he was introduced as the owner of the brawl.
Ladies and gentlemen, the owner of the brawl, Jeff Novak. Jeff, you have some words to announce to the Federation.
Yes, I do. First, I would like to say that the corporation is nothing but a bunch of punks. Okay, I'm sick and tired of them running around here like they own the joint. This is my joint, okay? I own it.
And then later on, he ended up having his own faction called the Family. I was more of an old school manager type character. And so now I knew that I wasn't going to have all of the attributes or skills in the ring. But one thing that I always knew that I could add was I had mic skills and I knew how to agitate people.
Oh my God. He could draw heat. Loved drawing heat. That was fun. Just the goofiness that you could get away with just to make people boo.
Now, at that time, late 90s, I think that old school managers were phased out. The old school managers, I'm talking about Slick and Bobby Heenan, Jimmy Hart, those kind of guys. I knew that I could add something to the product, add something to the show. And we talked about some things. We've always had some ideas or whatever. And by the time I ended up being in a ring, I did know how to take a few bumps here and there. That was pretty much all I was going to do. I wasn't going to be able to, because I felt like I was a little bit older at the time and had some responsibilities going on. I didn't want to, put myself out there and try to get hurt like that. But I knew that I could add something to the show. So give me the mic, step back, and let me work. And I was able to do it. I was able to generate some serious heat with all these shows with the fans. I do remember a time I was talking to Steve Santana. Now he was one of the big baby faces of the Brawl at the time, and I remember doing a show, the show at Johnny's Yellow Rose, and I do remember him being thrown out of the ring. He was wrestling one of my guys. I can't remember. It might have been Stealth or whatever. They threw him out of the ring, and we're giving him the business out there. I mean, we're putting the boots to him, right? And it didn't occur to me at the time because I didn't feel it. And, we weren't big time or anything like that. So we didn't have a whole lot of security over there. I do remember taking a punch to the stomach, something like that. But at the time, but I didn't think anything of it. And I saw Steve Santana last year. We were talking about some of the good times or whatever. And he said, dude, man, he said, that was my dad. He came out there. That was some serious heat that I drew right there because his dad, must have thought that it was real or whatever. I don't know if Steve explained to him, this is all part of the show or whatever. But he's like, you know what, man, when you can get somebody coming out of the crowd ready to put their hands on you and they actually do it, man, that's some straight up heat.
There was a lot of great times. I mean, I think one of my favorites, we did a Monarch of the Mat tournaments, and we did that every year for 3 years, which obviously is a ripoff of the.
It's not the same. It's not the King of the Ring.
It's not the King of the Ring.
It's different.
That was fun. I think, being able later on in the Rebels years to have guys like Silas Young on the show, guys who Austin Aries appeared on the show. Because he was connected to Angel Armani. I think being able to look back at it and have guys that worked on these shows that actually became something big on a bigger, bigger landscape. The Beer City Bruiser, Matt Winchester, was on a bunch of our shows at the end. That's cool because you can look back like, hey, I knew that guy when he was literally just cutting his teeth in the business and breaking in. So, I mean, I think those were some of my favorite moments as I look back at it. At the time, I had no idea what Silas Young was going to become, but it was kind of cool to see him, turn into what he did.
Oh, Nightmare! Flying over the top!
I had some fun with Steve Santana. I think there was an expectation because me and him kind of work a similar martial arts gimmick that we'd have better matches than we had, but we didn't know how to have good matches. So we kind of let our instincts take over. We had some fun.
And again, wait a minute, Al Buford here is coming out and distracting Primetime Sean Lowe.
Your signature back then was the big fold-up bump that you would get turned inside out, get dumped on your upper shoulders, back of the neck, big, breathtaking gasp bump.
I did that a lot.
Was that something you were actively trying to do, or did that just happen?
I think it was something that was just easy for me to do because I considered myself pretty limber back then, and it wasn't, get the right motion, the right momentum, and it was easy for me to do.
Country is not as tall as me. That's the only thing I'm going to say. Oh, double clothesline. Both men are down.
I don't think I have like one particular match that stood out. I think the only... Yeah, I think one of the times was when Justin was trying to get a tag team together, and I totally blew it by sliding into the side of the ring and knocked the wind clear out of me. Oh my God, that was bad. I had so many klutzy moments.
Brawl, we we had some fun with that. We did our shows maybe once a month, and we would do multiple tapings, and you might work 2 or 3 times in that night with the group, with me, Matt, and Steve. It'd be ringside with the other guys. So I mean, you might be out there in front of the people, 5, 6, 7 times in that night, just working your stuff. So that was always good, just being in front of people. They liked us. We we were energetic. We did our thing. Well, in the brawl, we didn't know what we didn't know. And we, in the wrestling world, when you work on, you take the arm wringer, you take the left arm. When you do a hammer lock, you take the left arm. Top wrist lock, the left arm. When you take a headlock, it's on the left side. That's American style wrestling. That's how that works. So everyone is trained in that regard. Now in Japan or in Mexico, they'll do some different things, but in America, this is how we do it. Canada as well. So we didn't know that. Apparently, none of us knew that. So when someone who had some level of training, a guy that we had wrestled with, his name was Johnny Barracuda, he had gone through some level of training in Minnesota with Eddie Sharkey, who was in the AWA. And, he came and saw this and was just like, what are you guys doing? And at that moment, we kind of looked back and we were watching wrestling and really kind of focusing on that chain stuff. And then we realized, we're like, you know what, he's right. We're not doing this right. We're on the right side. We should be on the left side. I remember having a mental practice where we kind of just went through and just worked on that stuff. Me and Steve just worked on that, and Joe and Jim, just to try to work the left side. And also Al Jackson, who was the illest of them all, I might add. He had sought out some other place to wrestle to get training from someone who was a professional and had been around the States and, different places wrestling. And, he pulled a couple of us aside and was like, hey, we could go over here and then get trained by someone who was in WWE and, get proper training and get better at this thing. So it turned out that Al Jackson and me and Steve and Jim all kind of defected to NAWF.
So it wasn't much of a decision because once again, at the time, we're kind of going with the flow, right? So this is just like surfing the force. We don't really have a plan and objective. I don't think any of us was like, man, we got to get out of the brawl to get to an indie fed so we can get to OVW. And it was nothing like that. We were just having fun. But we knew there was, between me, you, and Matt, you know what I'm saying, more specifically between me and you, we knew we had something. All right. We knew we had size. We knew we had athleticism. And we knew we could continue doing it if we wanted to. And we knew we could do it at a high level. That's what I would say. Me and you, myself and Chris behind the camera, because we're supposed to be talking to the audience, we knew we could do it. My bad. We knew we could do it at a decent level. I don't remember us having any conversations where we was like, hey man, if we just keep on with this, man, let's keep working the indies and maybe we'll get to OVW. I never heard nothing like that. It was almost like, hey, we'll see if ACW or something like that. We never really worried about it. So when, Al Jackson referred us to NAWF and Rock and Randy, it was just how far of a drive is it? Can we make it? All right, it was just a reasonable next step.
So Al Jackson, Cirrus, Nightmare Flair Stevens, and Stealth all left the brawl to go to NAWF. Everyone except
The big thing for me was taking the tire to the back of the neck. It kind of hurt. And it took me a while to recover from it. So I don't know. I just never really came back too much from that. So I decided to watch and help my guys out as much as I could without getting in the ring.
Injuries are definitely a part of it.
Yeah.
Was there ever? I mean, what happened with that?
The actual injury.
Yeah. What was that?
It was a slip disc in the back of my neck, or lower neck, upper back area. Can't remember exactly which one it was, but yeah, it took me a while to recover from it.
Any lingering issues from any of that stuff?
A little bit. Every once in a while, if I sleep wrong, my neck will just be stiff for, well,
That's also being almost 50.
True, but I've had that for a while. It was way before I was almost 50.
For almost 50, 20 years ago.
Yes, I've been preparing all my life.
For this moment, let's go pick up step.
Yes. But yeah, other than that, I don't know. It's not horrible. It doesn't happen that often. So.
Looking for a creative fundraising tool? Donkey basketball just not doing it? Why not consider the most popular form of sports entertainment today? That's right, pro wrestling. The NAWF has had numerous successful and unforgettable events that appeal to all ages. If you're police, firefighters, JCs, veterans, EMTs, or school are in need of funds, contact our pro wrestling fundraising staff today at www.nawf.com or call 847-381-3693.
The NAWF returns to Edgerton for Tobacco Heritage Days, Friday night, July 20th, with a 6 p.m. bell time, and it is a live TV taping for UPN 57, featuring these NAWF superstars and a 12-man over-the-top battle royal. Remember to bring your own chairs. It's a free show. Visit us online also at www.nawf.com for more information.
Well, first off, I didn't know anything about it because I didn't scout out another place to go. That was done by other people like Al Jackson. So he had been to their shows and he had talked to them and all that stuff. And I think he had even started training with them at that point where he convinced us that we had to go. So I didn't know anything about NAWF at all. I'd never heard of Rockin' Randy because when he was in WWF back then, he used the name Jerry Fox, but I still wouldn't have heard of that name either. So and I wasn't up on all the Memphis stuff that he did, but I didn't know who this guy was, but I knew that he had been to WWE. He had been in the territories in Memphis and other places. So I'm like, okay, well, this is a guy I need to learn from.
Performance-wise, I am Rockin' Randy. That's from the territories, primarily World-Class Championship Wrestling, and where I cut my teeth, Memphis, Tennessee. World Wrestling Entertainment, World Wrestling Federation, Jerry Fox. And for business purposes, and I guess Premier Pro Wrestling, sometimes it's Rockin' Randy, sometimes it's Randy Ricci, R-I-C-C-I. I think live events.
Just live events. Were you putting it out there, or were people trying to approach you to see if they could train?
Both.
Okay.
Both. I ran a show in Hoffman Estates, and it did actually pretty fucking good now that I think about it. But it was a fundraiser for Hoffman Estates Police, and they made money, and I made money. A lot of work though. Oh, I worked my ass off for that show. State of Illinois with Athletic Commission, horrifying. Then the motherfuckers are trying to shake me down. Fuck you.
That's why
But
you did
anyway.
most of your shows in Wisconsin back then, right?
Yeah, the border. So that's where I got my first crew of students, and then it was word of mouth.
Rock and Randy went after the eyes. That's the only smart thing they could do on that one. What the hell is he doing? Don't tease him. Don't touch. Oh, beautiful.
I was grateful, and I was like, you know, I like this fucking melting pot. So there's a lot of white kids, Greg, Brandon. It was good for them, and it was good for us. Because, see, dude, at that time, they didn't know any black kids. And we had such great fucking harmony in there. I learned to teach you guys, and then to teach you guys, as long as these motherfuckers, they know, I'm going to cram it in on them, I'm going to fucking, what do you call it, overload you and baptize you by fire. Every one of you motherfuckers could do 8 compelling minutes at the time. You know, and the fact that we were doing TV, I say, hey, there's the camera, motherfuckers, you know what I mean? I think that really excelled you guys. And it was just it was a fun crew, hard-working crew of guys that loved this shit, common interest, the bonds between all you guys that didn't know each other that met there, you know? It was nice. I didn't have no headaches. There wasn't an asshole. There was no addicts. There was no gamblers. There was no liars, cheaters, stealers, crackheads. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Well, the industry's full of them, right?
But no, it was just great to have that shit where guys were humble and they knew my sole purpose in this is you guys are not going to end up putting me over at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
So I came into that situation blind as hell. I just followed the word of my buddy Al Jackson. Was like, all right, well, this is where we need to go, and this is where we need to go. So me and Steve went down there to go wrestle, and you know, we go in, we meet the guys. Hey, you know, go through some, you know, exercises. You know, you take some bumps, you know, do some slams, you do some fireman's carry, stuff like that, just to get loose. And then the moment was, because we weren't coming in completely green, we had been wrestling. So then you gotta check that talent level, you gotta check that power level, you know. So it was like, all right, what do we do? Okay, you two get in the ring, see what you got. And that is a high pressure situation. That's like that's almost like walking into a new job and on the first day be like, you give a presentation, go.
And I think the shit went off good. I don't remember it that well, but I don't remember like any kind of frustration or stop, don't do that, don't do this. I think we just was like, all right, let's go.
It was hey, go do this right now. Money's on the table. Let's go.
Yeah, and I think for our skill level, we fucking knocked it out. And I actually remember someone saying like, hey, when you guys did that suplex, I don't know if I think you gave me a suplex. Just straight vertical suplex, halfway between the snap suplex and the standard standing suplex. Just a nice suplex. I think someone was like, pulled me aside later and was like, yo, when Chris gave you that suplex, you guys were like 3 feet off the ground. You know what I'm saying? Like, you left your feet. I gave you a good jump. You left your feet, and we just hit this fucking suplex. And a small thing like that on your first day when you're untrained, you know, that's a confidence builder.
And I think Randy was somewhat impressed with us. And then we got pulled aside and just said, hey, you know, the moves and everything looks good, but you guys got no theory at all. And he said, well, yeah, we didn't know how to put a match together. And I agreed with that. But that's why we were there, is we were there to learn how to do these things.
For the first time, we actually had a trainer, you know, someone that knew what was going on and that could, you know, teach us, and had a reputation of being a really good worker. That's what helped too. So it wasn't like, hey, we'll take your money and that's it. You know, we'll teach you how to take a bump. I mean, he actually knew, okay, you're going into the ring, you're saying I'm training you, I want you to know what you're doing.
So the term spot can be thrown around loosely, but you know, for those that are not aware, a spot in a wrestling match is just like an event that happens. A spot can be a bunch of, like, you know, reversals and stuff chained together. It can be a bunch of moves, or it can be, you know, the big power bomb. So there's different degrees of spots. You know, the high spots are the big impactful moves that gets the crowd to gasp and everything, but the other spots are way more important, of how you do reversals and get into certain moves and everything there. We had no idea how to do that stuff. We had zero idea how to put a match together. So what we had learned was like you would go to camp and we'd have a spot of the day. Okay, everybody, this is the spot. This is back when Randy could still wrestle and was wrestling on the on the card. You would go in there and demonstrate a spot with somebody, and then okay, everybody get in, pair up with random people, and just do this spot. So the whole time, every time we went to camp, and we always went at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. So every time you went to camp, you just kind of built up this knowledge of all these spots. So you had all these spots floating around in the back of your head. So that when it came time to do a show, if you're wrestling with someone that you wrestled with in camp and you're stuck on what you should do, you could just call one of these spots and we both knew it. And then we could go through and then execute this spot. So the spot work was invaluable.
Okay, let's call a spot. Are you ready? Tackle, drop down, fuck the slam, fuck the victory roll, drop down, mid-ring, drop kick.
Hey Joe, come here. Now, that drop kick in the spot can be substituted with a back elbow or clothesline. So you don't necessarily, when it comes time, that's the thing, whenever we got these long complex spots, I can't do a move, we can always substitute it with another move. Okay, so watch this spot. We'll walk through it. We're going to do it. Me and you. Tackle. Drop down. Fuck the slam. Look. Okay. It was all right.
One thing I remember that stuck out the most is I was trying to do this one spot and Randy stopped me right away. He's like, no, you're too big to be doing that to someone that size. I think I was trying to like go over the guy or something, or flip over him or something, roll over him or something. And he stopped me right there. And, he's like, you got to do stuff that's safe for you and the person you're working with. So that was, that's where the trainer comes out, where, hey, I'm going to stop you from not only screwing up yourself, screwing up someone else.
Yeah, my name's Casey James. I worked in the wrestling business for about 10 years. I started in NAWF here with Rockin' Randy. He trained me. After that, I worked a couple of years in Nashville, Memphis. There was still, it wasn't a territory, but there was promoters that still had television. Memphis still had television. Burt Prentice in Nashville still had television. And I worked 2 to 3 nights a week, sometimes more. Then after that, I was down in Puerto Rico. I worked for the IWA, Victor Quione's promotion. Sabio Vega, also part owner, Miguel Perez. And my first run down there, I was down there for about 18 months. And then after that, I worked for World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE. I was with them for almost 5 years. Spent most of my time in Ohio Valley Wrestling, but I did have some stints on SmackDown and the relaunch of ECW. And then after that, I went back down to Puerto Rico for another small run, and then I hung them up. I cashed in my chips while I was still healthy. Knock on wood, I haven't had any physical ailments, so.
Well, lightning went crashing down there as Casey James in control. Casey James, as fresh as anybody in this contest, can be here. Ducks under the clothesline, one of his own. He came up off his feet to add to the momentum, knowing that he was in there with a bigger man.
He definitely needed to do that, that's for sure. And now Casey James calling for it. A big DDT, Jeremy.
Well, psychology is everything. It's just, if you want to suspend people's disbelief, if you go out there and do something that, doesn't make sense, or if something you wouldn't naturally do, you automatically take it out of them. It's like when you go to a movie, you know that what you're seeing is not legitimate, but as soon as you start to suspend disbelief and you get people on the hook, then you can tell any story you want. So I feel like that's first and foremost, telling a good story, psychology. And the easiest story to tell is you're trying to win and trying not to lose. That's the easiest story. Now, if you're in an angle with somebody and there's actual personal issues, well, then you can tell all kinds of different stories. But I mean, it's as far as just working a body part, just trying, you know, if you have a finisher or a hold, building to that hold. Basic psychology is just having the people, make them want to see something, and you don't give it to them right away. You know, you build to that moment. You build through a match. You build, you're telling a story, psychology. So I just think that's something that's kind of lost. Like, people do things for no reason. You know, like they do something, they're not even trying to beat the guy, you know, and selling's so important too. That's all part of psychology as well. So yeah, I think that's everything, man. I think there's been a lot, if you look at the guys in this business, I mean, there's exceptions to the rules. There's been tremendous workers or wrestlers that have been over. But look at the guys that have been maybe the most over in this industry. I mean, Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin. And Steve did a lot before he got hurt, but once he got hurt, he actually got more over because then he kept it really simple and was able to just use psychology, you know? So I don't think, you know, you have to have that it factor, that charisma, that intangible, to be able to reach through the camera and actually connect with people. That's the most important thing. Psychology, I think that goes hand in hand, being able to connect with the people, because when you do things that make sense, the people understand, you know, like, okay, well, that makes sense. Well, okay, I see what he's trying to do here, you know? So I think that goes a long ways as far as connecting with the audience.
I was like, okay, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. How do I work these people? One of the things in one of our early shows, we didn't have music. And Randy was like, go out there without music, that's heat. We was like, holy shit, walking out there without entrance music is heat. And I'm telling you, when we just, you know, went quiet and the ring announcer got in the ring, and all of a sudden we just walked out and people turned and seen we was walking out, and we had mean looks on our faces, the ring announcer didn't have to say nothing. The ring announcer could have said, here come these guys, and they would have booed. You know what I'm saying? Because we had the right look, no music. Yeah, we had music sometimes we did, sometimes we didn't. But when we started to learn ring psychology, wrestling, that's when pro wrestling really, really took off for us. It became fun and became something that was like, it became, now that's when, to me, it became something we were doing. Like, okay, now we're doing this. Like, before we was having fun, fucking around, you know, fucking around in the backyard was pure fucking around. Fucking around with the brawl was like fucking around, but we can get a couple people in here to watch us fuck around, blah, blah, blah. When we started to learn psychology, that's when we felt like pro wrestlers.
The true breakdown and duties of a heel and a babyface in a match. I mean, the way that the matches go, you know, there's a clear babyface, a clear heel. I mean, you can even work as two baby faces in a match, but one of them has to work heel in that match, even though he's a baby face, because the heel has to control the tempo and dictate the match and be that antagonizer of the crowd. You need to have, you know, a hero and a villain. All the best stories that have ever been told have a hero and a villain. We don't want to muddy those lines. We want to make sure that everything is clear cut, you know, to the point where the heel will come out and be cocky, arrogant, scary, whatever. And then you want to see that baby face knock that dude's teeth in. That's what you paid your money to go see. That's what you tuned in for. That's how it should go. We had no idea how to do that before. That was ingrained in us to the point where even if you're not physically capable of doing all this cool stuff in the ring, with the psychology, you can still give the people what they want and make them pop. That's what it's all about. It's all about getting that pop from the people.
Just stumble off forwards, okay? Go. Oh, baby. All right. So, yeah, pretty much everything in here is Star Wars. Is this table Star Wars?
Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
Just gotta find a guy.
All right, so this is all ripped from an old Hi8 camcorder, and that is Mr. Matt Fu behind the camera. And that's me and Steve getting introduced.
And one of the other things about the psychology of matches that people don't even understand that they're being worked is that in situations like this where not everybody knows who you are, they don't see you on TV every week, you send the heels out first. So the heels go out and jaw at the crowd, and they get them all riled up, so when the baby faces come out, they know who to cheer for.
The way we come to the ring, right?
Yeah.
It's like you said, we don't wrestle on TV every week. We don't get on the mic every week and tell our story. We gotta let everybody.
Oh yeah, giving it to the fans their area. Yeah, I like that.
We gotta let everybody know.
It's a sign of the crowd says you suck.
Exactly. We gotta let everybody know who we are and what we do. So if you notice, like I'm pep talking you up to the ring, right?
Yeah.
That kind of establishes a captain.
So we sell the music there when the babyface music hits, and we kind of look at each other like, "No, it's all right, man. It's all right. We got it.
It's cool. But that kind of establishes our relationship. We're dismissive to the crowd first,
right?
Which tells them exactly what they need to think about us before
Look at that. They hit the ring, we bail.
Bail out. Let the baby faces have their moment. Look how slow we came to the ring.
Yeah.
Look how fast they came to the ring. The energy's completely different without.
Yeah, 20 years later, still doing that shit. Slow walking out to the ring like, nah, y'all suck. I don't want to be here.
The crowd knows what to do without having to watch one episode of anything.
Right.
We told them we didn't have to introduce ourselves, nothing.
We came out.
All pantomime.
These
all
are the bad
body
guys.
language.
These are the bad guys. Those are the good guys. You got to tell them who to work for. So.
And when you came out in military gimmick, as a bad guy, you had to work it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because they were predisposed to.
Oh, sneak attack.
There we go.
Sneak attack. Hop on them. Steve, you got Brandon Blaze. I got Ryan Rogue.
Fuck Brandon Blaze.
So duck the clothesline, mid-ring. Yeah, we're great. And then we get drop kicked out.
You know what? When I first watched that spot, I didn't like it, but it actually happened fast enough.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where we could have thought, hey, we do a little salute, turn around and drop them, and before you know.
Oh, Kaplancha.
Kaplancha.
Now the ring is actually on its lower setting. It has lower setting and higher setting, so it's actually not that far down, but it's still a Kaplancha. It's all good.
Those are grown men.
Yeah, we still got to catch them. We still got to catch them on the outside. But okay, so when you start this match, we would have what's called the shine. So the baby faces are basically
that's exactly what they just did.
Yeah, and that's what they did. So the baby faces are going to get over in this, and then a little cut off by Major Payne there. Get back in the ring, but guess what? We're still shining.
Right.
So in this first part of the match, the baby faces are going to constantly get over on the heels until we have a cutoff, and then we would move into the next phase of the match, which we call the heat.
Yeah, because you want to get the shine is what gets the crowd into the match.
Correct.
All right, they've already established the
fact
who to cheer for, who to boo for.
Right.
But now they want to enjoy it.
Right. So, and these guys are, all-American baby faces. Ryan Rowe from the American System. Brandon Blaze from Poynette, Wisconsin. They're all-American baby faces. We're the bad
American
guys.
System.
Yeah, I'm still not sure what that means after all these years. So,
it's
but
meta. It's very meta.
But we're the bad guys, even though we're supposed to be like the military heroes post 9/11. But we're the bad guys in this scenario, and we enjoyed the hell out of that.
Oh, it's not hard to be a bad guy.
It's so much
fun.
fun.
The military in post 9/11.
Oh, leg lariat by.
You just inform the crowd that nobody from their town is allowed anywhere near anything important.
Yes, I do remember that. So yes, the operation's going good because none of you idiots from Jefferson, Wisconsin are in the platoon. Awesome. Okay, yeah, all right. To tag the area. Hip toss, we're still shining. We are still shining. So what's going to happen eventually is we are going to have a cutoff move and we isolate one of the baby faces.
I actually heard that called a heat spot.
Yeah.
We cut them off to go into the heat.
Yep.
Headlock
takeover. Brandon Blaze, hair flowing, beautiful. So, a little reverse. So, no, grab it again. And somehow my do-rag has stayed on this entire time through two headlock we're going up the ropes. Headlock takeover, do-rag still in place.
That's because you was using that African pride shit.
That's right, yeah. Well, they ain't using it now.
Well, hey,
all right, so.
Genetics have rendered that. It took you way longer than it took me.
All right, so at this point,
let the record show I should have had like long dreadlocks and/or braids at this point.
Well, I did not.
But
okay, so here we go. We're gonna cut off right here. Wheelbarrow slam from private area. Drives them.
That was actually fucking sweet.
All right, so here we go.
You hit him with the deal right there.
So here we go. Now I'm gonna get up, talk shit, work the crowd, take off the do rag, hit him with it, put the boots to him. So
Hey,
now, so
let me point something out.
Okay.
And I'm gonna try not to be too long-winded on this, but or maybe I'll rehash this and then. But see how he stayed down?
Yes.
And the light bulb went off when I was training about when a babyface takes a bump, they stay down. When a heel takes a pump, you pop back up.
In a lot of cases, but
Because you got to bump and feed. You got to let that baby face get you with something else. Look, he's down.
He's down, yeah.
He's not going to get up until one of us comes and gets him up.
But also, he needs to fight up occasionally when there's a hope spot.
No, he can fight up.
Yeah.
Right? But he's never going to really pop. There's not no Hulk Hogan.
Right, yes,
you know,
exactly.
You know, when I go to get him up, he might hit me in the stomach, fire up, fire up, fire up. But he's not going to just, I'm not going to bump a baby face and they're going to pop up.
No. That's for heels and comebacks.
A babyface is not going to bump me and I'm going to stay down unless he's going for a cover immediately.
Right.
Oh,
Oh,
I like that. I like
double
that.
elbow. All right, so we've moved into the heat once we've isolated Brandon Blaze. Yes, okay. So don't forget to work the crowd during that heat. This is the heat. This is where you get that
Not only
that point of the match here.
But we're both working the crowd.
Right. Nonchalant cover too.
Because as the heels, we're working the crowd by jaw jacking, but as a babyface, once again, he stayed down.
But this is the hope spot. But this is the hope spot here.
Yeah.
So Brandon fights up. Oh, he actually hits the elbow. Now he's going to try to do too much, and then I'm gonna up cheat here for the ref my contact lens.
And then I shake the
and
ropes.
Steve shakes the ropes, and Brandon falls.
But not only are we working the crowd, but the babyface are working the crowd too, just by selling. You're down and you're selling. You're getting
Snapmare
sympathy.
off the top.
That's a nice bump.
All right, so. And
By the way, back in the hand tag.
Yeah, back in the hand
old
tag.
school.
So what you just saw from Brandon was what we call a hope spot. So the point of this is that not that the babyface is just going to get the living shit kicked out of him for 5-6 minutes during the heat. You're going to have what we call hope spots where the babyface is going to fight up, or get a surprise roll up and then get cut off on each of those moves. So what we're doing is the heels are in control of this match during the heat. But with these babyface hope spots, we kind of bring the crowd up and we bring them back down. We bring them back up and we bring them back down.
Yeah. It's all very intentional. It's all very planned
yeah.
out. It's all very trained into us. It's a how to work a match that will
That's one-on-one.
That will make the crowd feel what we need them to feel so they'll come back.
In fact, we've even discussed how many hope spots are we having. 3 hope spots in this match? Okay, during the heat. Depends on the length of the match. Okay. This was the spot. Oh, the cockiness hits the ropes and goes for the pin. Oh, Brandon Blaze kicks out. Oh, Major Payne does not like that.
I'm not in a good mood. You can obviously tell.
Right, and this is the double team move. The reversal into the pin.
That's Indy. You know, that's the problem with AEW. They do that on national TV.
I would too, though.
I would not.
You would not, but I would hardcore lobby for that. All right, so here we go. We're still in control. Steve going for the super kick. Oh, no, hits me. I'm collapsed in the corner.
The fact that I don't know it.
And he doesn't even know it.
I'm talking.
So now to end the heat, the babyface is going to come with this desperation move to end this heat. And now we got a little electric chair action. Bam.
By the way, that was a perfect Eddie
Perfect
Guerrero-esque bump.
Perfect bump. So now we're both down. Babyface is trying to get back. Now I'm trying to get back to my corner here.
This is lost in pro wrestling. This is a double 10.
The double down, yeah.
And golly, WWE killed it. AEW still uses it because they got people that.
Okay, so referee Jimmy Kennedy is counting.
By the way,
the tag. Oh, now this is the hot tag here.
Go fuck yourself.
So yeah, Ryan Rogue is going to come in and clean house. Anytime there's a hot tag, the babyface comes in right after the heat, cleans house. Usually 3 to 4 moves for each person involved. So I'm still selling here in the corner. Brandon is taking a little, Ryan's taking a little extra time on you here. I'm like, okay, I'm still selling over here.
So this is another thing that's a little lost in modern professional wrestling.
Yeah.
When you still get hot tags, but the hot tag only goes against one opponent.
Nah, you got a hot tag everybody.
You
So
know,
now Brandon's back in. After getting his ass kicked, he's back in, and now, oh, the dive in the corner.
That could have been a little better.
Bump. Nut shot. Oh, God. Crowd's loving it.
A little tune. That was a little tune in there.
You got to throw that
But
stuff
yeah,
in.
like nowadays when they do the WWE, AEW's a little different. WWE, when they do a hot tag, he'll only come back on one guy. And that sucks to me. I like the, clothesline, drop kick,
Oh, and the finish.
Ooh, they celebrated.
They celebrated on me. Total elimination. Here we go. Total elimination for the 1, 2, and the 3 counts. So that we had the shine.
We had a guy standing up.
All right, so in that match, we had clear, defined. We had the shine. We had the cutoff to go into the heat. The heat lasted for several minutes. We had our hope spots there. And then we had the double down, hot tag, and then going into the finish. So that's kind of the roadmap of the theory that we use for these matches. But everything doesn't have to be so clear cut, because you can take a few detours and still get to where you're supposed to go. But at the end, you know, once the baby faces have their comeback, you can choose to go back and forth there before the finish, or the match can end like right after the comeback. But that was pretty much textbook theory in every step.
Bodies.
So when I had first got to NAWF, we had trained together, but I think you were out for a knee or something, most likely a knee. If I were to guess, say a knee. Yeah. But so I went and wrestled, probably about 5 or 6 matches before you had come in. So I needed to come in. Those first couple matches I wrestled as the Funk Soul Brother with a FUBU 05 jersey on and a luchador mask, and just being stupid character. But most of these federations will have some jobber under the mask, and that's just different people occupy that, and that's kind of maybe their intro in, or you're short people and you want to expand your roster. So you have some characters that anybody can play because they put the mask on. So I did that at first, and wrestled a couple of times there, and then I had moved on to being Cobra Chris Erickson. Randy called me No Frills because I was so serious then. But I would just come out and it was generic heel number 5. You know, there was nothing to that character, no character to speak of. You were just I was just a heel, just there to get beat up by the babyface, you know, and eat their finisher at the end, and you know, then move on and wrestle the next week. So we did that, and I had lost another match, and it was time for Steve to come in.
This is how it works sometimes. I'm a light-skinned, bald-headed, black dude, and Randy looks at me, and I don't know if he just watched the movie Major Payne with Damon Wayans, but that's what he saw. He was like, dude, you're Major Payne. And I don't remember. I was super fucking neutral. I was super neutral. I wasn't like, no, man, I'm Nightmare Flair Stevens. Because I didn't have no ideas, right? If you don't have no ideas, if you don't have this dream of where you want to go and where you want to shoot to, and you're just surfing the force, it's like, all right, I know exactly who you're talking about. I'll go to the Army surplus store, grab some fatigues, and I'll be fucking Major Payne. And that's when I came out in my military gimmick. And I was like, your name is not Chris Erickson. Your name is Chris Area. You were in my fucking platoon or squad. Your real name is Chris Area. And I'm here to resurrect your career.
So at that moment, I was, you know, with Steve, and then I was Private Chris Area, or Private Area. Steve's Private Area.
My private area. That was all my private area. That's all Randy saw. He was like, I want someone to go on the mic and call somebody their private area.
Huge, strong. My private area is mean. My private area is strong. He's in your face. So, a lot of dick jokes.
Sounds corny, but deliver it right.
That shit got over.
Deliver it right. I did that shit deadpan, straight, 100% serious. The crowd started chuckling. I looked at the crowd like, what the fuck is so funny?
And then it was over.
It was over. It was done. Major Payne and Private Area was born. And then we was like this heel tag team.
And I'm like, this was post 9/11. The military guys are supposed to be the heroes, and we came out acting like assholes. It was great. I mean, we had so much fun antagonizing people, but and it was in an entertaining way. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to beat your ass. You know, it was an entertaining thing. The crowd loved to hate us. They wanted to cheer us because we were charismatic and good at what we did, but they couldn't do it because Steve was too much of a dick to him. Oh, wait, I was the dick because I was private area. Steve was too much of an asshole to him.
We were fucking good. Okay? It wasn't like, you know, I mean, you could go look, oh, you didn't do this. Whatever, dude. We were good. And Randy put a lot of faith in us right away. And it got to the point where he didn't give us much instruction, you know. And I'm not even going to get into the 2D. But, you know, the shit took off. It was Randy's idea. It fucking got over. We understood it. We liked it. Whether it was our plan or not, blah, 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 blah. Whether it was our dream or not, blah, 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 blah. This was fun. And it was working.
So ACW was All-Star Championship Wrestling, and they hail from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Yes, Mr. Kennedy came out of there originally. Mr. Anderson Kennedy. Back then, he was Kamikaze Ken. So ACW was our sister promotion. So we kind of shared rosters. So on our roster, you know, we had our group, and then Kamikaze Ken used to work with us all the time. Michael Mercury, just called him Merc. He was the one who ran ACW. He worked with us. Derek St. Holmes Esquire, you know, split time between the rosters. The Love Machine, Matt Longtime, with his partner Tasty Travis Lee as the GQ centerfolds. A couple people, Angelo Stefano, a couple people would go back and forth. So it was very common for us to use some of their guys and for them to use some of our guys. Randy would go up to Green Bay. Brandon Blaze, Ryan Rogue would go up to Green Bay. And then after one of the shows, I was approached by one of the, you know, producer guys or whatever. And he was like, hey, you know, we got this character that we want you to play up in Green Bay, and kind of pitched the JoJo Justice character. So it looks like they were kind of sitting on this character and they were just waiting for someone to come along to bring it to life. So that's kind of one of the things I talked about before, is sometimes you don't always get to choose who you are. Because, yeah, we could have come up there as Payne and Area, and I think that would have worked just fine up there. But they wanted me to do JoJo. So I did it. I talked to Randy and Brandon about it because I know they were up there. And he was like, yeah, Randy's like, it's hot up there, so you got to go. And I was JoJo Justice. So this was like this 70s kind of Shaft character. I was handed a brown 70s leather jacket and a cream colored turtleneck, and basically didn't have any other instruction as to what to do. So I just saw that as, okay, well, we'll think 70s blaxploitation, you know, so just made it funky, you know, kicked my voice up an octave and called everybody sucker and baby and all that stuff, and kind of did my little JoJo dance and just went out there and did that. So I mean, I was working a heel as Area, and I was working as a heel as JoJo Justice, but they were different. You know, I didn't do the same. I mean, Private Area wasn't out there dancing, you know, but JoJo, yeah, man, you hit a move, you get up and you do that dance, you know, and have the crowd boo at you and stuff like that. Now I had a manager up there. I was part of a little group for a minute up there. But it was definitely fun. It was a long drive up to Green Bay. That was definitely the furthest we had driven to go. And it was, you know, maybe once a month for whatever it ended up being, the 6 months I was up there.
Oh man, yeah, no, it was just knees. My knees kept like I got this thing where my kneecaps will pop out of place, and because I never really mapped out my future and really never had a quote unquote dream or anything like that, when I did have rent and I did have a car note and I did have insurance. So when my knees just repeatedly became a problem, whether it was Tim Angle's fat ass rolling over my knee when I was in a headlock takeover with somebody or whatever, I just kept getting concerned about how can I, because I wasn't making money wrestling. The rent paying and everything like that was coming from, you know, whatever factory job. I think it was at Quad Graphics at the time. So, and I had missed work, you know, icing down knees and stuff like that. So when it just got to the point where it seemed like it was kind of not worth the risk, I hung it up. Which out of I only have 2 regrets in my life, but that's not one of them. That was just kind of like a common sense decision. And by the way, if I wanted to start wrestling right now, I could. So I ain't too worried about that. But yeah, that's why I hung it up. I kept kind of suffering these knee injuries, which were costing me work and therefore costing me money. So I kind of just made that decision.
So the years are kind of fuzzy because it's not like we can, you know, have Wikipedia pages on our careers and, you know, go back and check the TV. So I want to say we started in the backyard in 1998. And then with the Brawl until somewhere in early 2000. And then with NAWF, I believe my last match was somewhere around the spring of 2003. So it had been, you know, a good chunk of time, about 6 years, give or take. And, you know, we started out in the backyard with, you know, a group. And then, you know, Matt dropped off, didn't wrestle after the Brawl. You know, that backyard group went to the Brawl. And then we went to NAWF. It was me, Steve, and Jim. And then Jim had dropped off. Eventually, Steve had dropped off. So, you know, at the end, it was just me there from our original group. And I wasn't even wrestling his private area towards the end because Matt Longtime was doing a Patriot gimmick, so we needed a foreign heel. So I switched over from private area to being Pedro Salazar, the Cuban assassin, because I'm a light-skinned black dude and it's wrestling, so it's close enough, right? You know, and I just kind of spoke in a broke-ass Tony Montana accent, and I just clowned with that one. I had fun with it because it was so ridiculous. And, you know, we did that. I wrestled Longtime a bunch when he was a Patriot, and we had such good chemistry from years that we would just kind of, we wouldn't even call matches anymore. But let's call it in the ring. Okay, fine. You know, so, but after a while, you know, this wasn't the dream. You know, I mean, in the late 90s, early 2000s, you were on the road 300 days a year if you were at the big time. You know, a lot of wrestlers were being found dead from heart attacks in their, you know, 40s. And it just wasn't what I wanted to do with my life. I wanted to do it, but I didn't want to do it with my entire life. I never had the dream of making the big time and being on national TV. And it sounds weird to say that for as much effort as I put into it. I don't know if that was just being a realist or if it was just my hobby, but I mean, I think it's kind of both. You know, we've had some people from this small corner of the world make it, you know, to the big time. And I saw people around in our same circles that I thought would have made it to the big time and just never got there. You know, maybe I didn't dream big enough. You know, I'll wear that. It's fine. But, you know, and you get beat up. It wasn't as fun anymore is really what it all boiled down to. And I'm like, I'm not making any money out of this. It's, you know, it's costing you money with the time and the travel and all that stuff. But it was just time to go at a certain point. You know, and I kind of just faded out, and I didn't have any regrets at the time at all. I mean, I really massively enjoyed my time working in that, but it was definitely a very fun period of my life that I look back at very fondly when I did wrestle in all these stops, because a lot of people have accomplished more in the business than I accomplished, but a lot of people never even made that step to climb through the ropes for the first time. So I was proud of my work. I was proud of what I was able to accomplish, but at a certain time, it was just time to go.
I kept my relationships with a lot of people, and I've actually been endorsed for training, and I should put that out there. At the time, Jeff Jarrett was WCW champion. Foley was WWE champion. They endorsed me for training. So I said, I don't mean shit. Would you guys mind giving me a fucking endorsement or two? You know, and fuck, no problem. Jerry Jarrett, Chief J Strongbow, and more. I don't remember. I'll have to fucking get technical and figure all that shit out. But I had a lot of people that endorsed me for training. So I ended up really upset, like so disheartened when WCW closed, because I really had my future planned out in being a feeder for WCW.
Rockin' Randy has been all over the United States. He's been to Puerto Rico. He's been in every territory you can imagine. He's wrestled all the superstars, and he sinks in the pile driver.
So that's when I was like, yeesh, you know, I don't want to go to work for TNA, but I did. Put every ounce of energy I had into that. Every ounce of energy, Chris. I worked like a dog. Between Puerto Rico and TNA, I was on the road 19 months away from my home for 2 years, 19 months out of 2 years. And when I got shit canned from TNA, I tried to put some stuff together with Spike, who couldn't touch my idea, that loved my idea, that saw my idea and said, wait till we're done with this contract. We didn't see your idea. And then I tried to do something with UFC. And then at the same time, I was trying to get the rights to promote the 2 live events for World Wrestling Entertainment. I went to bed with a verbal agreement and woke up to a voicemail that said, I'm sorry, we jumped the gun. I can't do it. Legal won't let us. You know, to run Ponce. And then I said, fuck wrestling. Now I'm getting a divorce. I didn't even know it. You know, I'm done. And then somebody contacted me and they pulled me back in. And I said, okay, and we'll stop at this if that's okay. I said, okay, here's the thing. I'm an older guy now, and my balls are nowhere as big as they used to be. As long as I'm not financially responsible, and I'm paid as a consultant, billable in 15-minute increments, you got it. And now here we are. I'm holding the fucking bag, but we're still alive.
So, 2022, I am 45 years old at the time, got 2 sons. I watched wrestling. It was a period of time where I just didn't watch anything, and I got back into it during the pandemic in 2020. So, got back the love of watching wrestling again. So I'm watching wrestling. And I was telling, you know, my wife, she was in the picture much after that. She knew I did it, but she had never seen it or anything like that. Has no interest in it, which is fine. But I showed my kids, oh, this is, hey, look, this is Daddy wrestling on a couple YouTube videos that were circulating around. And then my younger son was just like, oh, hey, cool. Watched it for like a minute and walked away. I'm like, all right, cool, awesome. So one day I'm sitting on the couch, I'm watching wrestling, just doing my normal thing. And my son comes by and just asks me, he says, Dad, do you think you're ever going to wrestle again? And I just looked at him and I said, no. I said, no, that time of my life is over. I said, that was something I used to do, 20 years ago. It's not something I'm going to do now. And I went about my business. And in the back of my mind, that comment was floating around. And about 3 days later, I just said to myself, you know what? Why the hell not? I know Randy's still out there somewhere doing something. I was like, and there's promotions all over the place, but I was like, I'd rather go back to Randy because I don't have to. He knows me. He knows what I can do or what I was able to do back then, and I wouldn't have to start from scratch. So there's plenty of places, in the Wisconsin area I could have went, but I tracked down Randy, who is now doing Premier Pro Wrestling in Woodstock, Illinois, an hour and a half away. Got in contact with him and decided, hey, I'm gonna go back and get back in the ring and train a little bit just to see if I can do it. I said I just want one match. I just want one match. What I knew that I couldn't just. I mean, at that time it was like a 19-year absence, out of the ring. I knew I couldn't just walk back in the ring. Wrestling is something you got to build back up to. So we ended up going to camp. Steve went with me. We did some drills and got back and took the first bump that I took in damn near 20 years. That was fun. Something that your body's not used to. You have to kind of get back up in. But this whole thing was rekindled just by a simple question asked by my son.
So, I was just, obviously the physical component, the bumping, having taken a real bump outside of slipping outside on the sidewalk, which has happened, and still had perfect bump form, so I'm okay with that.
I stepped on a cat.
Really? Did you bump?
Delivering a package.
Did you bump?
No.
Oh, okay. But, to me, is like the timing, because that's something that's got to be there, the whole spacing, ring orientation, trying to have someone,
so that's so fascinating to me.
But see, to me, it's like if someone just says, a spot that might be like 4 things, I might be like, huh? Instead of being able to process that in 2 seconds and then execute it. That's more what I'm worried about.
So here's... How are you? What about Too Short? Remember I used to break your balls? Yeah. You guys didn't know who the African Queen was or Too Short.
Oh no,
we know who Too Short.
We know
Oh, no, you did not. You were Too Short. You didn't know.
I'm not a fan of Too Short, but I know who Too Short was.
We're not fans. We just were not fans. Oh man, no, but here's the thing, though. He was a pioneer. Yeah. He was the first man before we get so in wrestling. How old are you? 45. Oh. Yeah, 57. Casey's 38. I thought you guys were the same age. No, it makes sense. You guys were out of college.
Kurt was in high school. We trained.
Hey. It's not makeup now. Ain't about boys. It's an art.
It's an art. Randy, I thought you might appreciate that.
I can respect that. Wow. It held up decently.
I couldn't throw it away.
I gotta show you this. Oh, holy shit.
I couldn't throw it away.
That first day, we went through drills and, there was like some drills with conditioning and the bumps. And it looks like the way that Randy's training now is focusing more on like the conditioning and agility before you take the bumps. Like some of these guys had been there for months already and hadn't even taken bumps, but they were doing these other things. And we didn't do that. But then again, I didn't learn how to take bumps from Randy then either, though. So we were already past that point. But I do remember some new people coming in, and we'd have somebody get on all fours, make a table, all right, sit on their back, do this, tuck your head, tuck your chin, and make sure you breathe out and push them over to kind of do that. The handstand bumps, and then graduating to the flip bumps, and then starting to do the moves, taking body slams and things like that. So it looks like the training has not taken that part first. It's taken that part last now, which is a little different for me, but that's what it was. So going through these like drills and, jumping over people and doing the getting up in the corner and doing the high knees and all that stuff, which is pretty standard now. We never did that stuff back in the day. So I'm trying to get my cardio back and all this stuff and trying to get through everything else. And it was seriously hard. It's not like I've been sitting on the couch for 20 years. And we stopped wrestling, but, we played flag football. We played, pickup basketball games. I played baseball in a league until I was 40. We were still active doing things. We were still, athletes that, weekend warriors doing all this stuff. But the last few years, I had retired from baseball at age 40 and got back in the ring at 45. I will admit, in that 5-year span, I didn't do a whole lot of athletic anything. So it was hard. I'm like, it's in there somewhere under this extra 30 pounds I'm carrying, but it's in there somewhere. You just got to find it.
I see. So when you did get in there, started moving around, started running some of these drills, and you do start taking bumps, probably going through some sequences, some spots. Were you able to retain that old form?
Muscle memory is a hell of a drug. I mean, because I was so concerned about, my spacing, and then, okay, what's the footwork for hitting the ropes? Is it, this foot, worried about just all that stuff. And I just grabbed somebody and I said, hey, let's do something real quick. Headlock takeover, get up, jump me off the ropes, tackle. And I just did it without thinking. And that was the muscle memory of all that stuff that was brought up back then. And I found in my return, that the more I thought about stuff, the more I was like confused as to how exactly it should go. But then when time came to actually just do it, I was just still able to do it without thinking about it because of all that training over the years that was ingrained in me.
So maybe here, right, over, there you go. See here, jump off into it, you don't want
Where I had wrestled my first match back, Randy did just, I was there for camp, and was resting in between, drills or matches or whatever. He comes over and he's like, well, what do you want to do? And I thought about it, and I just said, I just want to be a dickhead heel like I always was. It's what I do best. Why mess with the formula at this point? And he's like, all right. And I was like, I said, I'm not doing the private area thing again. I said, but I wrestled under that name 20 years ago. If someone wants to connect the dots, I will keep the name. So I was like, I'll just be Chris Area, but I'm not private area anymore. So I go out, for my first matches, and what does he do? Of course he does. He says, Chris, don't call me private area.
Long time, hasn't it?
Jesus Christ. Yeah, so today was first match. Just came into practice, and Randy's like, I want you to work tonight. Okay. So
20 years?
Yeah, I didn't really have any ring gear, so we're just going with the shorts and no shirt. We got the boots, so the boots are more than half the battle on that. So I was trying to think about my ring gear. I thought I had more time, but I didn't. So here we are. But
work with what you got.
I'm ready to go. Just got a match together, so I don't know. I always feel kind of, I always try to be like just kind of chill out and feel okay before the match, not be too, worked up about it. But yeah, I'm ready to go. Just cool. Give me a crowd and I'm ready. Crowd in the ring and I'm ready.
That crowd.
Ready to go.
Work that crowd. That's the goal.
So, what has happened since the last time I wrestled? Me and Matt tried out for a semi-pro football team, the Racine Raiders. We made it through their combine and most of the way through their training camp. Matt was cut, I separated my shoulder and was subsequently then cut. Started my amateur baseball career. Wrote a movie script for Henchman University, Scriptapalooza quarterfinalist in 2004. Hung out in nightclubs and drank a lot. Got married in Vegas, did not pay extra for Elvis to officiate. Gained a stepdaughter. Had shoulder surgery to repair my rotator cuff and put my collarbone back where it should be. 2 screws and a cadaver tendon and surgical suture later. Everything's okay. The Green Bay Packers win the Had knee surgery to fix the cartilage in my left knee. Huge scars, Oates procedure, and microfracture surgery. Had son number 1. Gained 30 pounds. Dad life, baseball on the weekends. Had son number 2, more dad life, baseball on the weekends. Started to go gray. Had turbinate reduction surgery to help my breathing. Did not help. Father-in-law passes away from cancer. Fuck cancer. My dad passes away. Depression, but soldier on. Stepdaughter graduates from high school. Tried to launch a comic book based on the movie script from earlier. Didn't go well. Going grayer. Played last baseball game. Bought a condo in the burbs. We have a pool now, but my kids can't swim. and it was a fixer. Son number 1 starts kindergarten. Son number 2 starts kindergarten. Where's my hair going? Dad life. Stepdaughter graduates from University of Minnesota. Stepdaughter gets hit by a car, multiple injuries, but ultimately okay after a hospital stay. Made a video with Voices for Henchmen University, partially completed comic. No one cared. It's on YouTube still. Bucks in 6. The Milwaukee Bucks win the NBA title. And I sneaked down to the parade while I was supposed to be working, but totally worth it to get that shot of Bobby Portis holding the WWE Championship belt. Shh, don't tell anyone. I ended up in the hospital for 10 days with pneumonia. It sucked. My uncle beat stage 3 pancreatic cancer. Ha, fuck you, cancer. And in all this time, Matt has bowled 6 300 games, and I haven't been in the league since my kids were born. Steve is still as angry funny as ever. And the Milwaukee Brewers. So just a little background, I was a 4-sport athlete in high school and graduated in 1995, which was a long ass time ago. I was a Division III athlete at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, and then we fast forward to now. So the question is, where am I at physically right now? This is me in 2003. And this is me in 2022.
Chris Area, Jordan, you know nothing about him, right?
I have not seen him since I've been coming to the show.
So my old company, what PPW spawned from, is from the North American Wrestling Federation. Brother, we set independent wrestling attendance records back in the day with our Crown Jewel event. Back in the day when he was still the ECW and there wasn't a privately owned ECW, the king of old school, Steve Corino, facing the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, in the ring in our main event in Robersonville, North Carolina. That being said, Chris Area was one of our first students. He's been around the block and he's got a lot of experience. And there's an arm drag Area. Hey, the camera's that way! The camera's that way! He's got a lot of experience, you see, and he works at such an older timer's pace, I think that's throwing Brandon off. Will you pimp Pro Wrestling Tees for me, please?
Make sure you purchase. Make sure you purchase PPW exclusive merchandise, T-shirts on Pro Wrestling Tees, Premier Pro Wrestling on Pro Wrestling Tees.
Don't forget, what are your standout shirts? The 3 current ones, the one you just bought.
You can get the
Pro Wrestling's #1 simp.
Pro Wrestling #1 simp. You could get the Rockstar Rosie shirt. Jesse Danger, we are awaiting his return, but he just got
kick ass till we smell shit.
You know it, Randy.
Look at kick to the solar plexus. Oh, see? Now, he's the same weight as Campbell. And as you can see, he is really put a cog in the wheel. However, he is kind of vulturistic, if you ask me. Brandon's already wrestled 2 guys. Right?
I think Brandon's a little caught off guard by Chris.
It's a good test. Make a man out of him. Put some. Chris Area will put hair on his ass, if you don't mind. Oh! See what I mean? The hair is growing before our very eyes, son. The immovable object just met the irresistible force, son. So Patreon, Pro Wrestling Tees, and my new favorite shirt, I Stand With Punk, PPW, Premier Pro Wrestling on Rumble. No, not Rumble, Redbubble.
Redbubble.
And look at this, he's cleaning house. He found his sea legs. He found his sea legs.
Brandon definitely has to adjust.
Yeah, I was thinking to myself, Chris could sure use a break. Oh, see what I mean? I told you, he's grizzled. Oh, man. Oh, look at Chris Area's face, dude. Oh, right to the sternum. Oh, second one. Third one. And Brandon. Oh, cocky cover though, brother. Stop burping in the mic, Jordy. Irish whip.
Oh,
look at him. He telegraphed that. I think he's getting cocky, bro. I think he's getting a little cocky. Oh, that's a shitty cover right there. That's a punk cover.
That's going to come back to bite Chris because you know Brandon, once he gets that second win, then it's game over.
Yeah, it's on like Donkey Kong. Snap, man. He's really kind of, I'm not going to say manhandling him, but manhandling him. Oh, he snapped that neck and face. He made him, wow, I don't think Brandon is that flexible. But look at the shitty cover again. He really thinks he's going to beat him. Unbelievable. Shoots him off. Sunset flip. Now, how many guys Brandon size can do a sunset? 1, 2. Oh, how many guys this size can do a sunset flip? Oh, that was from out of left field. That's how you hit someone, guys. That hammer from way out there.
You have to be thinking that Chris would make a huge statement if he was able to get a pinfall over Brandon.
Double clothesline! And Brandon again has found his sea legs. He rose to the occasion. Now, let's see who wants it most. I'm going to let you on a little secret. I think it's going to be Brandon. Chris is out of gas. Oh, Shiza!
There's
That's
that
it,
second
Papa.
win.
That's it. No, Chris, turn around. Oh, belly to belly with a cover 1. He's not done. He's not done. He's not going to get him up. 250 pounds for the fall away. And he got it. Oh, man. And look at Chris Area. Boy, did that really turn around quickly. Brandon Irish whip in. Uh-oh!
Slamorama!
Dude, that is a 250-pound man.
Brandon feeding off the crowd. He is feeling it.
He's setting him up for the damn Claymore. Watch. No, he's not, is he? Yes, he is! Oh. I know that's it. And a cover.
1, 2.
Bring him his belt, will you? Bring him his belt. Your winner! And he just showed us why he is the king of the Iron Man, Brandon Campbell! I know what the motherfuckers say on the streets, right?
What? Oh man, it was fun. It was fun, man.
It was fun to watch.
I mean, the place, they were hanging from the rafters. The
Yes.
place was sold out. When he made his entrance, it was like the pearly gates of heaven.
Oh,
I'm like,
that's
man,
what I want to hear. Thanks,
It
girl.
was good. No, he did a good job. What a return. Let me tell you something about Chris Arias. This guy, when I broke in, he was a personal hero of mine when I first started. Him and his partner, Major Payne.
He'll be back.
I tell you what, he did not disappoint tonight.
The first match went off relatively well. So it was against Badass Brandon Campbell. We had a little timing issue for one of the moves, so that came off as bad. But just, you know, I worked some camp stuff with him, but I wasn't completely in tune with him. He tends to kind of not wait that extra second. He just you know, the timing with him is a little quicker than it is with somebody else. So I wasn't able to give him a jump, and I went up heavy, and I felt bad about that. But you know, I did the match, and then I thought to myself, I said, yeah, that was good. I said, that was good for what I wanted to do. And then I thought to myself, well, I can do better than that. And I looked around, you know, the PPW roster's not that big. You know, roster ain't that big. Some people were hurt, some people were out. I was back. You know, Randy had told me, you know, because he's like, you're 45 years old. You know, he's like, I don't need you to be a spot monkey. I need you to be a heel. So I can do that, you know. So I looked at the roster and I looked and I said, you know what, I can do better. Not to mention, I think he kind of needs me right now because some people were hurt. And so we had not a lot of people. And I was like, if I'm able to be plugged in and perform on this show and, you know, help Randy out, help the show out, you know, kind of get some of this out of my system, why not?
oh no, now you've done it. You pissed him off. Better him than me, man.
So I'm wrestling as Chris Area. You know, I'm not, you know, I don't expect to come in there and be elevated to the top of the card. You know, I'm 45 and I'm, you know, doing this. I have some physical limitations, but I'm still able to wrestle. I just can't do the shit I could do when I was 25. You know, but I was just happy to have a spot at this point. You know, I was happy to be booked every week. But I thought about it, you know, like my character, okay, it was a little buzz, you know, in the beginning, but, you know, I went over a couple of times, whatever. But I thought I needed something else, you know. So I was wrestling, and then I thought about, and I was wearing, you know, like I was wearing these shorts, and I thought they were a little too baggy, and they looked a little weird in the ring. So I decided, I was like, I'm going to go back to the pants. I'd always wore, you know, fatigue pants that were, you know, cargo pants. And I was like, let me buy some pants. I'm not going to buy some fatigues because I'm not Private Area anymore. Plus, Brandon wore some like black and red fatigue shorts. So I didn't want to do that because that's what he was doing. So what I thought is, you know, I was sitting back there, you know, after a show and we were getting undressed. And I was just talking to, I think I was talking to Mickey Sin. And then I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get me some cargo pants. I'm gonna have a foreign object in each pants. Each pocket, I'm gonna have a foreign object. You know, and he giggled. You know, I just thought it was gonna be funny. So I said, "Hey, Randy, I said, hey, why don't I do this? Why don't we get some cargo pants and I'm gonna have a foreign object in every single pocket I have?" And he was like, "See, that's the kind of shit I like." So I said, "Say no thing." So I did it the next week. Got a match. So it's me and 001, which was Dayton Under a Hood, against Badass Brandon Campbell and Heavy Metal Jake Hazard. So we go do this thing. And Dayton knew what I was doing, but Brandon and Jake didn't know to the extent of what I was doing. So I just told them, I was like, just bear with me in the beginning of the match. I'm doing something. I didn't really let them in on the joke, but I had to tell the ref what was going on. Just so we could get the interactions.
And I'll bet you there's a lot of concern with the current tag team champions of this pairing, impromptu tonight, Marcus the Science Smith and Charlie Hustle, who in fact these two men are going to face in singles action later in the night on PPW 452. What is Chris Area doing? What is that? He must have really come prepared for this matchup. Look at it. How many? Look at another one. How many weapons, foreign objects does he have on him? Yeah, what the? He's got some, but that's three. I'm counting three. I'm not ringing the bell till the referee tells me, until Chris, don't call me Private Area, is properly checked and all the wrestlers' safety is ensured. How many? What did he do? Bring a junkyard with him? Oh, no wonder with all those pliers. What's he gonna do? That amateur backyard dentistry? You sure that's everything? Come on! The ref, Ian, the left arm. Ian, the left arm. He's got a left arm. No, he's got a wrench in his elbow pad. Oh.
And I look over, you know, once we get to like the fourth or fifth thing, I'm looking over across the ring, and Jake and Brandon are breaking in that corner. They are laughing. You know, this is serious. Like, these are like two serious, like, gimmick wrestling dudes, and they're over there just laughing. Randy's laughing on the commentary.
I'm entertained, but thank God Ian caught him. Thank God Ian caught him. All right, wait till the referee tells me. I'll ring the bell. I'll hit the timer. Look at this, another one. You got another one? Come on. Oh, God, I'm going to puke. I'm going to throw up. Somebody's got to get all that. Oh, he's got a toolbox with him. He must have emptied the toolbox out of his car or something. Come on. Jeez. Oh, all right, we're good. Yeah, he's patted down. Wait a minute. Oh, unbelievable. Okay. Oh, look at this. How many things? 6 or 8 weapons, and I couldn't see anything from here.
And behind me, Dayton is laughing his ass off under this mask. And he told me, he was like, thank God I had that mask on because I was dying over there. You know, so that was actually undoubtedly my favorite moment in my PPW run because I didn't get Ian, but I got everybody else to break on that single thing. And then that was my gimmick for at least a good month.
Ben, Brandon, and Jake are here.
The biggest difference now is there's not as many established guys that there were like when we walked into the NAWF. A lot of these guys, like I just got there in 2022, a lot of the guys in the current roster had only debuted either earlier that year or maybe the year before. So it was a very young roster. They still had some guys at the top of the roster, but a lot of people had moved on. You know, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you have this place where we were at, which is, you know, lower on the rung. It's still on the ladder, but it's lower on the rung. And then, you know, if you're good enough, you can go to places that are higher on the ladder. And so a lot of his like OG people had either stopped wrestling or had moved on. So when I got there, it was like, oh, this is cool. We got basically like a store in a strip mall, and the ring is there, the training is there, and the shows are there. So I'm like, oh man, these dudes that are in this now have no idea how many times I took down and put up this damn ring. And now that ring just stays there. You know, you just got to like, you know, do some tightening of the cables periodically. But to me, the biggest difference is like you have a home base. We have not gone out and done shows in other places. It was just every Saturday night, Woodstock, Illinois, PPW, the Randatorium. You know, it was different because we used to wrestle in different places once a month or twice a month. And then it was like, nope, every Friday night we were streaming on Twitch, and now it's on Rumble. And then every Saturday night we were doing shows, and then Randy would pick certain matches and then put them on YouTube. The whole show at large wouldn't, you know, go onto YouTube, but you know, if your match was good enough, it got to YouTube. So some of my stuff's on YouTube, some of it's not. But it's a big difference of having the consistency of being in the same place every week, sometimes seeing the same fans, a lot of times seeing the same fans, and they know you. So you don't necessarily have to get over every night with a new group of people and, you know, 5 people know who you are and the other people don't. So I think that would be the main thing. And then just a lot of the roster was still learning. Or maybe it's just me that I'm older now and I'm not on that side of the roster, so maybe I just see it in a different way now.
All righty, the third match on this card tonight here at PPW Watch What You Pray For is the young Dane Pirelli squaring off against the veteran Chris, don't call me Private Area.
Last day, I wanted to get down there for camp and do the whole day, because you would get down there for camp at like 3 o'clock to like 4:30-ish. Everybody kind of breaks, goes out, does whatever, gets some food, then you kind of reconvene at about 5:30, and then we'll start booking the show, walking through spots. So you got that hour and a half to 2 hours there to do that. Doors at 7, bell at 7:30. That's how the day goes. I was not able to get down there for camp. After a while, I stopped doing camp because going through those matches at 3 o'clock and whatever, and then stiffening the fuck up, and then trying to get loose again was just non-conducive to what we were trying to do at this stage of my life. So after a while, I had to skip camp once I felt comfortable enough. But I wanted to go down to camp for the last day, but I couldn't make it down there, family commitments. But I was able to go down there and do my regular thing. I told some people that I was leaving, but some people didn't know that was the last match. I didn't want anything special, There was no fuss, no nothing, So I kind of wanted to wrestle Dayton in my last match, and then I didn't ask for it because I've never asked for anything. Just whatever the Booker wanted is what I always did. I kind of wanted to wrestle Dayton in my last match, and I did get to wrestle Dayton, but it wasn't a full match. So we were pushing a new faction. So me and Dayton had a singles match, and it only lasted for maybe about 3 minutes, and then we got jumped by the new faction. But I was heel, he was babyface. We get jumped by the bigger heel group. So actually, on my last day, I had a little mini babyface turn, which was a little weird, and worked babyface in God knows how long. So we came out, and then, we got our ass kicked. And then, Randy comes out and talks to the, kind of mediates. We're in the ring. They're on the outside of the ring. And then Randy's like, all right, we'll make this a tag match, Said, Area and Dayton against whichever two you want, So then we kind of baby faced it up, So then I'm trying to hype the crowd up, even though, 3-4 minutes earlier, I'm talking shit to them, So that was a little weird dynamic, but, I got him to get a little energized, and then we did our match. And then I think I took more bumps in that last day than I took the entire last month I was wrestling. So I was a little sore the next day, but we were putting over a new group. So, we had to take our beating, made those guys look good, which was always what I tried to do, So you don't have to win. You don't have to win to shine. You just need to do what you need to do and make everyone around you just better. So there's a bigger dude that came out. So I'm like, oh, this is one of the few dudes who I'll let throw me around in the ring. There's only like 2 other guys that I would let do that because everyone else is smaller and it just wouldn't make sense. So to make him look better, it's like I was getting all the power moves. So I'm like, I'm getting the body slams. I'm getting the hip tosses. I got the freaking Beal throw, and I'm like, Jesus, when was the last time I took a Beal?
I said Chris Area standing outside the Randatorium. And this is it. This is it. My match is done. I'm officially done with PPW. I'm officially done wrestling. I'm going to watch the rest of the show, hang out with the boys, probably say goodbye. But this is it, man. And it's been so much fun. Seriously.
We had our conversations. None of that's recorded. I thought that was, those were private moments. Honestly, because I've hung out with those guys the most in the last year. Basically every weekend. I wasn't counting, but I know I took a handful of weeks off for work or whatever. But out of the last 52 weeks, I was down there at least 45 of those weeks. So, those are the guys I've been hanging out with for the time. So it was, we developed some, working relationships, some friendships over there. And it was time to go. So I was just like, yeah, I'm getting I felt like I was getting long-winded, and, I felt a little bummed actually that last day when I walked out of the Randatorium. I was just like, man, I'm not gonna what am I supposed to do next weekend? I've been doing this like damn near every Saturday night for the last year. It was what I did now, And then you got a nice 90-minute drive on the way home where you can kind of just let it sink in and kind of wash over you and kind of work through your emotions or whatever. And then, and then basically accept it.
said, hey, this is Chris Area coming at you. My favorite moment in PPW is when I walk out of that tunnel. I go to that far side of the ring, look at all these brain-dead idiots look up at me as I flash the 4, 1, 4, and then I get to leave this dump and go back to Milwaukee.
Gianna, what's that cooking show again? Chopped. It's a story they tell in 30 minutes. You got a baby, you got a heel, you got a tweener. But in 30 minutes, you root for that cocksucker. You didn't have to like cooking. Am I lying?
This side, I'll be out
Stiff.
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we are the best motherfuckers of the planet. All right, let's go out there, execute some tunes. Let's go.
Oh, we're gonna be in this corner now.
Okay.
Free man. How come everything looks green?
I hope you ain't recording nothing.
Hell yeah, we recording, dog.
You recording? Dude, we put time on the tape.
How long? Behind the scenes. How long does the tape last? I got another tape, dog. You know what? Okay. Yeah. Meetings everywhere.
No.
Oh, God. That's, oh my, holy shit. What? More? No, wait. Oh. 1, 2, 3.